Twitter, Instagram, the internet is full of social media websites. Are we able to live without them, or have they become the drug of the 21st century? I'm Karen Eriksson.
I'm Caroline Cabot, and welcome to Behind Likes. In the studio, we have our guests, Bram van Montfort, who stopped using all social media for a year and survived. And we have psychologist Sarah Hesselink, who will explain what social media does to us.
Today, we'll also talk about a term new to us called FOMO, and we'll ask the question if social media can influence history. Yes, so social media is a pretty big thing right now. I don't think I know anyone who doesn't have a Facebook account or who uploads selfies on Instagram.
Yeah, I kind of feel the same way. And when somebody actually is not on Facebook, it's like, why? What's wrong with you? A bit like that. Terrible.
Yeah, I agree. What I do is I log into my Facebook the first thing I do every day, and then I have Facebook running in the background all day. And I don't really realize how I survive without Facebook for this long, or like before.
Yeah. And the same for me, but I got my smartphone so late. I was like the last person on the planet with a dumb phone, it felt like. And I couldn't really not understand how people were checking their phones all the time. And I was like thinking, why is this so interesting? For me, it was a whole ritual, like go to the computer, turn it on, go to Facebook. It was a whole thing. But the bad thing is that now I'm turning into one of them as well. I'm becoming like you, Karen.
Yeah, I could probably not survive without my phone more than 2 days, and then I'll probably go mad. And we were thinking there has to be people out there who feel like I do. So we sent out our reporter Camille Kiffer to find out.
Hey, I'm Camille. I'm in the University of Windesheim, and I want to know if the students here can live without social media during 1 week or more. So let's see what they are going to say.
Impossible.
No, never.
No, not at all.
For more than a day, no, I don't think I would do that.
I'm offline most of the time.
I can live without Facebook.
I don't need social media to have a social life.
So, how do you survive without social media? What was the question? Do you need social media to have a social life? And today we have our guest Bram van Montfort here, and he made it as an experiment to be offline for a year. And we also have Sarah Hesselink here, the psychologist. Welcome.
Thank you.
How are you today?
Good, it's sunny, I'm happy.
Yeah, lovely walk here to the studio.
Yes, so Bram, do you recognize yourself in the statement from the last thing we heard here in the Vox Pop that you don't need a social media to have a social life?
No, you don't need to. I mean, if you don't have social media for a longer time, you will have a social life as well. And the people that are a bit older know that, well, they survived for generations, and they had a social life as well. So, but it's harder, of course. I mean, for example, on Facebook, you see the events when a party is coming up, and last minute message, so you know where to go. So most of people's social lives is now around social media, of course.
Mm-hmm. And what do you think about that, Sarah?
I definitely think it's difficult, but also attainable. I mean, without what Bram said, we have survived without social media for a long time. It just makes it more complicated, and I think your phone bill will get a lot higher.
Being social, but for a price. Everything has a price.
Yes, it does. And so, Bram, you went offline for a year. And what made you do that?
So before I was like, I think most of people, and I had an iPad, I had a phone. The first thing I would do when I woke up was check Facebook, Twitter, Gmail, YouTube. Let me see, what more? Well, some news sites, and before I even had breakfast. And this continued all day long until I went to sleep. Late at night, I would check my iPad again for all these accounts. And for me, it was a bit much. And I thought, well, how on earth people ever survived without? So then I thought, well, maybe let's try it. And then, you can do it for a day or for a week. But then you start postponing things because you think, well, I can do it next week. So I thought, let's do it for a year.
Yeah. And all these YouTube, Facebook, everything that you checked out the first thing in the morning and last thing in the evening, did you feel you had to check them out, or was it only because you thought it was fun?
I don't know. It was kind of a habit. I realized when I went out with my girlfriend to London for a romantic getaway, and afterwards she would go to Australia for a longer time. And on the last evening we were together, I kind of had to check my Twitter, Gmail, Facebook, and the day after I was walking around the city alone. I thought, well, why? I didn't really think about it. It was just something I would do automatically.
Checking it secretly under the table.
Yeah,
kinda,
like, oh, really interesting what you're saying. Then in the meantime, and
scrolling through, updating. Yeah. So that was like the last drop for you.
That's a moment when I thought, well, maybe it's getting a bit too much for me personally.
And like what we heard in the survey, that it was a lot of people that we asked who thought it would be very hard to go offline for like just a couple of days. And like, how did people react when you told them that you were going offline for a whole year?
There were mainly two types of reaction. One of them was, you're crazy. It's not possible. Even people made bets against me, like, yeah, well, after a month, And the other type of reaction was from people who were jealous. They said, oh, I'd love to, switch my phone off, but it's not possible because of school, work, my girlfriend, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And what do you think about that, Sarah? Is that a common thing to feel like that you want to get out of it, but you can't really do it?
I think that's common in all addiction, people describe it as a habit in the first sense, so not one addict will say, I need my glass of wine right now. It's just, oh yeah, I come home from work and I pour a glass of wine. Well, the same goes for social media addiction. I think I lost my track of thought.
that it becomes more of a habit. It's not that you feel I need it, otherwise I won't survive, but you just do it because of, without thinking.
Exactly. It's just something you do. Part of your routine.
I can recognize that in myself.
I can totally recognize that in myself. But Bram, what was the most difficult thing of being offline for a year?
I think, first in the first 2 months, everything was new and excited, and you discover new media, like writing letters, which is really nice.
Love that you call it new media. Sorry, I had to say that.
Yeah, well,
the new media of writing letters.
Really discovering something new. But what was really hard is the fact that you have nothing to do. So let me explain that. When you come home and there's no one there in the living room, you can watch television, but it's really boring Wednesday in the afternoon compared to what you had online. You can read a book, but you really have to get into it. So there's nothing immediately grabbing your attention. There's no one from your social surroundings that you can, check what he or she is doing. So it felt kind of lonely. And also, when you have nothing to do, you have more room for your thoughts, and this might not always be positive thoughts, and you have more time to reflect. And at first this was really, really hard. Later on I kind of started to appreciate it, but at first it was hard.
Too many thoughts.
Too many bad thoughts.
Yeah. But what did you do instead then when you felt lonely? Because I guess you could call your friends or something from the...
Yeah, I had a landline phone.
Yeah.
So I could still call them, and I could, plan stuff to do with them. And later on in the year, I started more to improvise. So normally I would have kind of planned everything full, but now, because if I was somewhere else, for example here in Zwolle, I would not be able to communicate with anyone, so I would just go with the flow and see, maybe I meet some people here. And that's also the thing, if you don't have your phone with you, you're only able to communicate with the people directly around you. And it can be a good thing, it can be a bad thing. I mean, it can be boring people, it can be fun people, but it's nice as well because you won't be distracted by anyone else. You'll just be there and focus on those people that are there with you. And I kind of started to like this way of, operating.
Yeah. And could you be able to do it again?
Yeah, I could, but it wouldn't be that interesting for me because it was an experiment as well. So I still do it sometimes. Like, I I'm doing it now at the moment as I lost my phone last weekend. So
Offline once again, Bram van Montfort.
no, but I mean, I do it in weekends, or I do it when I don't want to be bothered. And the nice thing is that people accept it from me now. So people accept that I'm offline for a day, or that I won't react in an hour or even 2 days. While I hear from other people that, you know, people really, friends, they get really angry at them if they don't reply on a WhatsApp message in 1 minute even, when they saw the sign that it's red.
I recognize this so much. I was that person before. It could go 2 days before I saw a text message and nobody cared. And now everybody's angry if I miss a Facebook message. Why didn't you call me back? I was going to say.
I'm totally not like that. I just answer my phone straight away. Someone writes something, I'm like answering in 2 seconds.
Yeah.
I have my phone always with me.
Yeah. So the question is then what you would miss if you didn't have your phone. And our reporter Camille went out and asked our students once again.
Next question I want to ask the student is, what are they going to miss during this week without social media?
Nothing.
I think I would miss my friends really bad.
Talking to my family.
I will miss Facebook so much.
The things my friends post, so it gives you something to talk about when you meet them in person.
And here we heard many people saying that they would miss their friends the most. And you mentioned that as well, Bram, that you would miss your friends when you weren't online. Can I ask you, did you lose any friends due to this experiment?
Yes, I did. I mean, I had 500 Facebook friends before and 400 on Twitter and, well, something like that. And you can't keep in contact with all of them. I did so much. I mean, if you have to write them a letter, you will go bankrupt in a month.
Yeah.
So your social circle gets more focused somehow. And some people don't want to do the effort to return your letter or return your call. And they only want to be friends on on a like basis, maybe. And so some of them I didn't speak to anymore. And I made some new friends as well.
And the people that you, or the friends that you lost, so to speak, did you try to get in touch with them again afterwards? Or did you think that...
No, not really.
No?
No.
They weren't really worth it, maybe?
Yeah, but it's a clever move of Facebook to call it friends, of course. Well, I mean, how many real friends do you have? I think I have 4 of them, maybe. And then there are, loads of people that you like, that you hang out with, that you go out with. But, I mean, they change anyhow, so why? And that was the strange thing as well. Like, in 2011, so the year before my experiment, I was up to date of the things that the bus driver did that once drove me to Eindhoven airport for years and years on. And I was aware of all the things a girl was doing that I was in primary school with for 2 years, just because we were on Facebook.
Yeah.
I usually do that sometimes. I actually clean my Facebook now and then from people that I haven't spoken with this person for 5 years, so why are we friends on Facebook?
I think it's a nice thing to do that because your head only can process a certain amount of information, and the bus driver and the primary school girl will take some of the space if you won't delete them.
Yeah.
You recognize this as well, Sarah?
Yeah, definitely. You can only connect with so many people, and Facebook and Twitter, it's a constant stream of information, and it's just overload.
Yeah. And but so that was, I guess that's quite a good thing then. Then you could learn who your real friends were and kind of keep more to them instead of, like you said, Sarah, the people around.
But there was a downside as well. I have to
Yes.
say something about that. After a while, my best friend started complaining because I got used more and more to this chaotic, improvising lifestyle. I'll just talk to the people who I'm next to. I'll just contact you whenever I want. I can't be reached for a couple of days. I had an answering machine next to my landline phone, and I wasn't always there, and I would wait some days. And friends started complaining because they said, well, we are always there for you, but you're not there for us when we want to reach you. So you can also be too extreme, and that's something that happened during the year, I guess.
And what did you do to handle that? Or how did it feel to hear that, firstly? Like we're always here for you, but you're not here for us. Like it's kind of like saying, "Oh no, you're not a good friend to me."
Well,
anymore.
I wasn't, I guess, in the middle of the year because I got too extreme. So then afterwards, I would make sure that I always listened to my answering machine and I would call them more often, not just when I felt like calling them or when I felt like having some company. So, well, it made me think of keeping more in balance.
Little wake up call in the middle of it.
Yeah, so, but now you're back online.
Yeah.
And why are you back online now?
Well, for practical reasons, you have to be online. And it's not that I don't like the internet. I love the internet. I was one of the, early, I still am an early adapter. I like new technologies, new things happening. But also for practical reasons, for example, I was not able to get into the United States without internet. You have to, as a European resident, you have to fill in some ESTA form, it's called. It's only possible online. I went to the embassy. I kept telling them, please, let me do it offline. And they said, yeah, sure, just send us an email, They're not able to.
No.
The same with filing your taxes, the same. And also for practical messages. So one thing I kept from the year offline is writing letters. I really like writing longer letters to friends or to my sister, for more personal things. But for practical, like, shall we meet now or tomorrow? Well, then it's easy to have a phone, I guess.
Yeah, goes quicker.
Yes.
And like you said before, that we sometimes check our phones too much, and otherwise we have the feeling to miss out on something. And our reporter Celine Gonduru put together something that may sound familiar.
First, I should check my Facebook. Let's see what we've got here. Candy Crush. Come on. Oh, what? Sarah is in a relationship with Harry? That is such a huge gossip. Oh, I am late. Celine, please put your phone away. Okay, Mrs. Diana, I am sorry. I put it away now. Celine. I am so tired, but I must check Facebook. What kind of events tonight? Michael's birthday party? Nah, I better stay at home. But I must write something that I am having so much fun. We are going to party so hard. And let's take a photo and upload on Instagram. Hashtag YOLO. Likes for likes. Follow me. Swag. Party animal. Happiness. Forever. Together. Oh my God. They had so much fun yesterday night. I am so jealous. Next time, I'll go all of them.
So we have here Sarah Hesselink, a psychologist at Trubendorfer. It's an institute for addiction care.
Yes.
And do you recognize this feeling of FOMO, the fear of missing out, in some way?
Yeah, well, I see a lot of clients who are influenced by this fear, be it in, for example, keeping on going to things that they really don't have the energy of going to, or feeling inadequate after seeing on Facebook or Twitter that they weren't at that certain place. So it definitely influences people in how they feel about themselves and what they need to be or need to do. Yeah.
Yeah, and what do you tell them then when they tell you all this?
That varies. Usually I try to work on people's sense of self more than, okay, how do I explain? If a person is okay with who he is, they will need less external validation. So they will need
The kind of self-value.
Yeah,
a bit.
exactly. They're less dependent on outside forces, such as being at the right party at the right time and making the perfect Instagram shot. So if you work on that, usually that fear of missing out will become less.
Yeah. And do you believe that FOMO, as we believe that FOMO has existed even before social media, but do you think that FOMO has become worse due to social media?
Well, there's no official research on this matter, but I definitely think so because it's so much more in your face than it used to be. You know, when you would open a newspaper, maybe there would be one page of a cool party with the celebrities there, but now, you know, everyone looks like a celebrity with their bright lighting and their upward angles, and they'll, you'll feel inadequate of not being there and not having as much fun as the people you see. Yeah.
More in your face, kind of.
Yes, very much more.
And in what way can you then recognize when it becomes an online or social media addiction? What are the signs?
What are the signs? Well, usually people won't notice that it is an addiction. As Bram said, it's a habit. So people, and it's so normal. Just like with drinking alcohol, it's so normal to have a glass of wine. It's so normal to open Facebook, even during work hours, right? So when it becomes a problem is probably when you start losing your job or you start losing touch with people offline. Or when you notice yourself, feeling depressed because you're not in the offline world and you're spending so much time online. But there is no official cutoff score, like when you spend 8 hours a day online, then you're addicted or like that.
Different for different persons.
Yeah, exactly.
And can you compare it then to other addiction like smoking, for instance? How can you treat it?
Mm-hmm. I think you can. I mean, maybe not to smoking because in smoking you just stop, right? So
exactly.
The difference is, let's say you have an eating addiction, then you can't stop eating either, right? So you need to eat. You need to feed yourself. So the trick is to find a healthy way of using the internet. So maybe in the beginning when you start treatment, you'll say, okay, you check your email twice a day. Maximum. If you're unemployed, you check a vacancy site once a day and send emails. But all social media, everything that is a big trigger to, get caught up in, the time-consuming part of the internet, that is done, and maybe never to return either. Yeah.
Just put up limits for yourself.
Yeah.
Could be a good tip.
Yeah.
But are they? I'm just wondering, for people that could be addicted to social media or doing things online, generally, are they introvert people? Are they people that are more important online than offline, or you can't really say that?
Not necessarily. No, I think there might be a connection in the sense that people who do not feel enough connection offline, so maybe introverts, but will resort to online communication to feel, I don't know, important, but at least seen, but I don't think it's necessarily introverts versus extroverts, no. Yeah. I think.
Yeah. And, the social medias are pretty important for me and Caroline because we are exchange students and we live pretty far away from our friends and family, so it's nice to see what they're up to.
Yeah, I feel closer to them when I see the status updates and the photos, even if it can be also sometimes sad and I want to be there too, but it's nice. I feel closer to them.
Yeah. And the social media can also help us to make history.
Yeah, a very famous example is of course the Arabic Spring, when social media was used to show the rest of the world what was happening there.
Yes, and our reporter Lia Droel has talked to the Turkish student Kansu Kormaz about the impact of social media during the wave of protest against the government in Turkey.
Occupy Jazzy was Jazzy Park. Those hashtags become the symbols of the June 2013 unrest in Turkey. The government plans to urbanize the park in Istanbul triggered most protests in the streets. During the whole period of demonstration, tens of thousands of people were sharing pictures and videos on Facebook, Twitter and YouTube. Among social media activists was 24-year-old Kansu Kormaz, who lives in Istanbul and continuously follows the political events thanks to the internet.
The role of social media has a huge effect in Turkey. And I'm not talking about just the Gezi protests. Well, people are tweeting, updating their status on Facebook like 24/7.
Between 1970 and 1980, a wave of violence swept across Turkey. Thousands of people were left dead as right-wing and left-wing activist groups clashed. At this time, neither internet nor social media could cover the evolution of the situation in real time.
In Turkey, the newspapers were printed for 2 times a day, one in the morning and one in the afternoon, and still cannot fully cover the events of that day, the protests or the events or the gatherings. It would be much different without social media, and you can see that in the military junta in 1980.
Today, social media seems to be a very efficient way to get people informed all over the world. Everyone is able to express their opinion on a common platform and let their voices to be heard. In this case, social network can appear as a bless for citizens and as a weapon against the government. But social media is not an absolute power and can be used in different ways. According to Bas Elder, professor in the University of Windesheim in Zwolle and specialist of communication and politics, social network is just one of the tools, but not the main.
Social media are an important tool for reaching a lot of people very quickly. I don't think they are the cause of the revolution. There's no ideology in social media. It can be used for good or for bad.
The free use of social media is not the common thing for other countries in the world. In dictatorships countries like China, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and many other social networks are forbidden. In North Korea, people are totally cut off from the outside world. In some Arabic countries and in Turkey, people can use social media, but the authorities control their accounts. Kensu from Istanbul knows how it feels.
I actually didn't post or that much of an information on Twitter because also the police is reading our tweets. Well, my Twitter account is protected, but my friends' accounts weren't, so the police know where they are and put some resistance there, like with tear gas or something like that.
Whether we want it or not, social media has a huge effect on the society, but does it have enough power to change the history?
I don't think it's not making a history in Turkey, no, it's not finished. But in Arab Springs, yeah.
In 2011, the significant events called Arab Spring started in Tunisia, Egypt, Libya, Yemen and Syria. People from all over the world had the opportunity to closely follow what's going on. Everything that happened was immediately shared on Facebook, Twitter and other networks. The large-scale revolution has changed the history of the Arab world. Would the unrest start without social media? Bas and Honor asked that people didn't wait for social media to tear down the Berlin Wall or to start the French Revolution.
Mass protests have happened all the time, even before there was telephone, even when there were no mass media, like in the French Revolution. Things go faster, but the French Revolution shows that you don't really need any media to create a revolution.
Even so many revolutions have happened before the age of social media, it is still an efficient weapon to conduct protests. Today, social media gives the opportunity to hear the voice of ordinary people who witness important events. Ukrainian crisis, Turkish protests, Syrian war, everything has been shared on YouTube, Twitter and Facebook. Welcome to the 21st century.
So, interesting report on how social media can make a difference and change the events and happenings in history.
Yes, very interesting.
Yeah. And Sarah, you talked before about addiction to internet and social media and how we feel stressed and even depressed when we're not living up to the nice life of our friends on Facebook. But how do you think that will change in the future? Will it be more or less?
I do think that our online identity is becoming more and more prominent, and it's taking more and more of our time. So more of our life is being spent online. So I think this will be just a growing trend, and I hope people will find a balance between the person they want the world to see and the person that they truly are. I think that would help. Yeah.
And what do you say, Bram? How will we use social media in the future?
Well, I think a lot of the problems have to do with it all being so new. So after some time, it's normal, and then maybe some of the addiction problems will be solved as well, and maybe some etiquette has to be developed. Is that an English word?
Yeah.
Okay, great. For example, not looking on your phone while talking to someone else. For me, that would be a perfect new social rule to develop, and I think such things will happen. So I'm positive.
So new rules for us all.
Yeah, and well, as we're getting closer to the end of the show, what have we been talking about? We've been talking about
so many things.
So many things. For example, how social media can influence history by all the people using it to showing what's happening, and also how the internet and the social media can affect your everyday life. So we'd like to thank you, Bram van Montfort and Sarah Hesselink, for coming to our show.
Thank you for having us.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you.
And also, of course, before you leave, we would like to take a selfie with you, the new cool one. Thank you. Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Okay, selfie time.
Selfie time.
Whoa.